It's about donor loyalty. It's not about churning donors. It's not about getting donors in the door then forgetting they exist. It's about distinguishing yourself from others. If you're doing a golf tournament or an auction like everybody else, is that distinguishing yourself? Mm-mm. You know, I can't tell you how many of these come through my email and my mail. I mean, I just don't even read them anymore. It's just gotten to be a flood. You're smiling, Will. Okay, you get them too, right? Okay.
I think this community...
All right, you know what I'm talking about. So you want to be different? Be different. Don't get on the same train. It's not about buying and selling. You can raise money that way. A lot of people raise money that way. I will never suggest otherwise. But if you're looking for sustainable money that is resistant to downturns and you want more money, you need to do it a different way. It's not about funding worthy programs, as worthy as they might be. I know, I've just offended every executive director in the room, all right? And I know that. It's not about your program, I'm sorry, okay? It's about the donor's values and what they want to see happen. That's really what it's about, and that's so hard because you're so committed to what you do and why you do it. That's hard. That's the hard part, not the asking. And it's not about providing for people in need. It really isn't. As worthy and as noble as that is, and that may be the outcome, by the way, but it's not what this kind of fundraising is really about. All right? It's a different paradigm. It's looking at your donors in a different way. It is about meeting the needs of our donors, exceeding their expectations, going beyond what you even think they want, consistently over time, and providing something they really can't get anywhere else. Values fulfillment. There are really two principles for sustainable fundraising. One of them, well, there are a couple more, but we're going to talk about two of them this morning. Donors are the drivers, and begin at the beginning. All right, well, what do I mean by that? Donors are the drivers. It's all about engaging your donors, not enticing them. You know, not enticing them with a discounted trip to Hawaii. I was actually tempted to do that last October, I'll confess. All right. I went to the Boise Chamber thing because I'm a member, and I went, and we were there. And normally these things just don't appeal to me. But they had a couple of really nice things, and one of them was a week in a private North Shore Hawaiian condo with everything included, and I was really tempted, especially when the bids were just around $1,800. I'm thinking, okay, this is a deal. But my wife was sitting there, and I hadn't cleared it with her, and so I thought I'd better just kind of hold back. Well, after it, she said, why weren't you bidding on that? I wanted to go. Well, anyway, that's another story. But anyway, it's about engagement. They were trying to entice me, and I almost bid. I would have probably not done it again, but I almost bid. You can raise money that way. It's about pulling me in, not pushing things out to me for my consumption. Draw me in. Tell me why it's so wonderful to be a part of this. I mean, and as I said before, it's an opportunity for your donor, for me, your donor, to be self-fulfilled. That's what it is, what I really believe in. Do I believe in young people? Do I believe in the arts? Is my church important to me? And by the way, on that note, just so you'll know, when you're looking at sociological profiles of donors, the #1 indicator of whether someone will be philanthropic is the degree to which they're active in a church or synagogue. And that's secular causes, not just religion. And that also includes our LDS friends in this state, who still give at an order of magnitude higher per capita secular causes than mainline Protestants do. Yeah, that's true. All right, so they do more than just to their church. And donors need to be seen as investors, as partners. Just give me the money, I'll go do it. That's not what donors want. They want to be a part of that. But I don't want a donor in here managing my business. Believe me, they're too busy to do that. In all but a handful of cases, they're too busy. But they do want to feel a part. They do want to be included. They do want to be consulted. And begin at the beginning. You need to begin to understand your organization from the donor's point of view. What do they really think about you? What do they think you even do? Do you really know, or are you just assuming? You need to provide the donor experience that says, why should you give to this? Why should you give to us? And why should you give now as opposed to 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or yesterday? It's meeting the needs of donors and exceeding their expectations. Donors want an experience. That's hard. You know, sometimes you can get them involved and volunteered, but that's hard. Now I'm going to ask you to do two things for me. Think about donors are the drivers again. Can someone give me a theoretical example or an actual example of how donors can be the drivers? Anyone have an example they want to share?
Putting them on a programming committee.
Yeah, yeah. That's involving them. Anything else?
I work with a charity on the board where we have a donor advisory committee.
Mm-hmm.
Twice a year. It's no big deal. You know, we get.
What about donors that don't fit those profiles? That you don't want on your board? And there are some that you don't want on your board. As lovely people as they are. Well, get them to volunteer in some other capacity. All right? Listen to them. What about begin at the beginning? Give me a theoretical, actual example of that. Do you remember what it was? Knowing what your donors think and why they give to you? What's an example of that? Doing a fundraising audit is an example. Just doing a survey, asking them, hey, why do you support us? You know, I'm continually amazed that when I ask questions like that, people go, wow, I've never been asked that before. And we could talk a lot about that. It's about mystique. It's about emotional engagement. Remember I talked, it's about head and heart. It takes both. You know, how many solicitational materials have we seen that is an absolute blizzard of facts and figures? Give to us because we're going to attack the need of 50,000 homeless. I just feel overwhelmed when I read that. I can't fathom 50,000 people that are homeless. It's an abstract number to me. It's not scalable to me. It isn't real to me. It doesn't engage me here. You see, that's why if you see the relief agencies that do very well, it's one photograph of a pathetic child that they show. That's what tugs at my heart, because then it becomes real. I see this human being like me who's suffering, and I want to try to alleviate that suffering. Being functional. Do it right. Do what you do correctly. This is direct quotes from Penelope Burke's most recent donor survey. My wallet opens up for projects that excite me. What's the verb here? Excite. Does that have emotional content?
Yes.
All right. Not that I think are worthy or, you know, give me a tax deduction or anything like that. When it comes to regular unrestricted giving, I'm consistent, but I don't break the bank. In other words, people are waiting for you to engage them. Two direct quotes. Oh, you're going to love this. Now, this is a well-known company. And this is taken right off their web presence. And Mark, you're not to give them the answer. All right? You're not to do that. Our corporate culture is united toward a common goal of creating memorable experiences. And our experience instills well-being and fulfills even the unexpressed wishes and needs of our customers. Anyone want to guess?
Prostitution?
Did everyone hear this? Anyone else want to make a serious attempt? Apple. All right. Who else? Disneyland. Zappo. All right. Well, here's the answer. It's the Ritz-Carlton. We are ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. I didn't show you this one because this is something, if you've been there, you know what this is. And I've had the personal experience of seeing this. I was staying at the Huntington Park property out in Pasadena once, and I'd flown out. I was living on the East End. I'd flown all the way, and I'd fought Los Angeles traffic to get up there to it. And I got in, and I was pretty tired in the evening, and I was just going to stay a night, and so I had just a carry bag. And they said, no, I don't need a bellman. I can take my bag. And they said, they gave me my room number and kind of pointed me in the right direction. And this was not a high-rise. It's a very old and sprawling property. So I began walking down these long corridors, and pretty soon I realized I was lost. And I didn't want to walk all the way back and find out where I should be. And I saw this restaurant with this maitre d' in white tie and tails standing there, very official looking. And I walked up to him and I said, can you tell me where room 155 is? And he said, I can, but I'd much prefer to take you. He reaches very directly, but not aggressively, and takes my bag and walks me, just leaves his post, walks me to my room, opens the room, checks it, refuses a tip. Anyone have that experience? All right, okay. Refuses a tip. Before he leaves, I say to him, well, is there a restaurant I can go into without a jacket and with an open shirt? And she said, oh, yes, and he told me which one it was. So after I'd freshened up and sort of recovered from the Santa Monica freeway, I went down to this restaurant. And I walked up holding a book down by my side. And I walked up to the receptionist there, and she said, she very politely asked me for my room number. And I gave her my room number. And almost without ever breaking eye contact, I mean, this girl was really trained. I was pretty impressed. She says to me, good evening, Mr. Johnson. I understand you've had a very long trip. I'll make sure that you get a table with adequate light for your book. Now, did I feel wanted? All right. Now compare that to the more common experience where someone comes up to you, stoops down at eye level and says, hi, I'm Jack. I'm going to wait on you tonight. All right. You just want to go push back, push back. See, they've learned this, you see. Yeah, they've learned that it's not about the chocolates on the pillow. I mean, that's nice, but that's not really what it's about. I can't buy this, at least not anywhere else. Okay, now another one. We're in the business of treating people like people. Anyone want to guess? Southwest Airlines. That's a pretty good guess. All right. Avis Rent-A-Car. How many remember the "We Try Harder, Don't Rent from Hertz" days? Okay, we all remember that. They're not renting cars. They're treating people like people. Let's do a quick check, and you can do this and take it with you. Identify what you believe are the key elements of a donor value experience in your organization. What would be a value to a donor? Not to a recipient of your services, to a donor. Think about that. And then compare those little bullets to your current case for support. And that's just fundraising ease for your sort of reasons for why people give to you. It should be a written document. It takes its wording from the legal environment where you have a case, you go before a judge and a jury, and they make the decision. You don't. Same thing in fundraising. If the donors make the decision, you don't.